What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Chad Sommer, here on Rock Bottoms Up Podcast. And today's guest is none other than Jamie Lynn Bolton.
Hi, you guys. I'm super happy to be here.
And we are ecstatic to have you here today. Jamie Lynn, I have been a big fan of yours, being able to watch you on Facebook and grow and share just inspiration on Facebook. And it's so needed for a lot of us out here in recovery to be able to listen to someone who's in recovery, share such inspirational little posts like you have. And that's how me and Jamie met, was on Facebook. And she has been so inspiring, and so happy to have her, as she just celebrated 10 years of sobriety. So amazing, Jamie. So amazing. Let's go ahead and get into it, Jamie. Because I know I would love to listen a little bit about yourself, as I know my listeners will. So if you don't mind, just go ahead, and why don't you start off by just sharing a little bit about yourself with us.
Hey, you guys. So I'm Jamie. I grew up in a little town called Roosevelt here in Utah. I come from a family of 5. I have a brother and a sister, and the oldest. I moved out here to Salt Lake when I was a sophomore, and I graduated from Marine High. I currently work as a CNA and an actor, and I have 1 son and 2 grandkids.
First off, Jamie, where in the world how do you have a child that has childs? You don't look like you're that old, Jamie. That's crazy.
I know. I get that.
Babies. How did that happen?
I get that a lot. But I'm going to be 53 next Thursday.
What?
So, yeah.
We're gonna have to have a whole nother show on like how you stay young. I bet you would be amazing, Grandma. That's awesome. Oh, Jamie, congratulations on reaching this incredible milestone. 10 years of sobriety. Tell me, how does it feel to have achieved such an amazing mark?
I mean, it feels amazing. If you would have asked me 10 years ago if I would ever get to this place, I would have said no way. Yeah. Back then I couldn't have ever imagined having this and being here.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
No, that's a big marker right there. 10 years is, a lot of work has been put into those 10 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, congratulations. That's freaking amazing. And too, I didn't, I was following you on Facebook, and for some reason, I didn't even know how long your sobriety was until just somewhat recently. You posted that 10-year. I'm like, you go, girl. Like, way to go.
Thank you.
Freaking amazing. I was so happy for you, and so happy to hear that news. That was I love celebrating that with you. That was really cool.
Thank you.
Very cool. So why don't you, if you can, try to take us back in that journey, and what kind of what led you into your sobriety and in recovery?
So I used for about the span of 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and it started when I was 19. I moved away to be a nanny in New Jersey after high school, and it was a cool job. Yeah. But I was super homesick, and so I actually went to church. I'm not really a religious person, but I went to church to meet some people, and I met some friends who were kind of into the party scene.
Okay.
And that's where I learned about alcohol. Yeah. Alcohol was my first love.
Okay.
And I didn't start off like jumping right into it, of course. It was just a here and there thing.
A little social thing almost.
Yeah. And after about 6 months at my job there, me and this girl decided that we were going to leave our nanny jobs in the middle of the night and hitchhike to Florida. And so I didn't tell the family I worked for. I just left. And, looking back, that was a really shitty thing to do. But, so we did that. We went to Florida. I stayed there for about a week, and then I flew back up to Baltimore because another friend that I had from Utah was working there as a nanny. And, I was gonna get another nanny job there, but I decided to come home. And so I came home. It was not a happy reunion. When my mom picked me up from the airport, she was pretty upset with me.
Yeah.
My dad was actually the one who got me the job there, and so he was also very upset, understandably so. Anyway, fast forward a little bit, I decided to go to college. My parents were going to pay my tuition, so I enrolled at LDS Business College, started there, and I went for about 6 months, but I couldn't I just couldn't maintain it because I was partying.
Yeah.
So my friend that I hitchhiked with came back here and moved in with me. We had an apartment up in the Avenues, and we just started partying all the time. We were drinking every weekend, going out, driving State Street, and just, yeah.
I
So
know State Street is.
Yeah.
It's a very popular drive back then.
It is. And that was the thing to do back then, Dragon State and partying. So we did that. About a year later, I got pregnant. I had my child. I stopped drinking and smoking. So I also picked up a cigarette habit while I was pregnant. So I stopped doing that. I got a nanny job here, and I worked for the family all through my pregnancy, and it was awesome. They were great. And then after I had him, about a year later, I started dipping back into the party scene, and I got a job as a stripper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very little old Utah.
Yes.
It's in Utah.
That's right. And I started at the $1 Million Saloon. Okay. And I loved it. Honestly, I was making good money. But I really got into, that's where I got into doing drugs. I was introduced to cocaine, and I started to dabble in that a little bit, and that advanced into crank. And after that, it was meth. Yeah, and when the first time I ever tried that, I was like, oh, I've arrived.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I loved that drug. And I started to really worship it. It became my life. Yeah. I went from doing it, just snorting it, to eating it, and finally to smoking it. Yeah. And I was a daily user for many, many years. Yeah. I continued to work at the bar because, I also would sell to some of the dancers that I worked with. And so, the bar scene is conducive with the party lifestyle. So I stayed there. I was able to work and, feed my habit. And I did that for a lot of years. And then, 1998 is the first time I ever got busted. I was arrested for possession and taken to jail. I stayed there for like 7 days, and they released me on the ankle monitor. Yeah. And I served that for like 8 months, finished the program. And then I did okay for a little while. And then I got arrested again about a year later with another possession charge. And so I think I racked up 6 or 7 charges over my addiction. Yeah. I was in and out of jail a lot. I did the drug court program, and I managed to stay clean for about 7 months after I finished it. But on Mother's Day, I decided I wanted to go have a drink, and I was just going to have a drink.
Right.
And I did. And then I had another one and another one. And I ended up right back in the dope house. And I started getting high again. And that lasted about, I don't know, 4 or 5 more years, until 2013, when I I went to a family reunion in Heber on the 24th of July, and on my way back, I got pulled over. And earlier that day, before I went to the reunion, I had just bought an 8 ball of meth, and I had paraphernalia. And my friend who was with me was someone that I hung out with all the time, and we did drugs together all the time.
Yeah.
He also had drugs in his possession, and so they arrested me and they impounded my car. They took me to Wasatch County Jail, where I sat in this tiny little room on a cement slab and this disgusting blanket, and it was just filthy in there. Like, I just sat there and just cried. And I knew I was 42, and I knew I had to change my life. That was my rock bottom.
That was your.
I was in and out of court for about 7 months.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good, Jamie. We're touching on some. We're hitting some triggers here.
Yeah, it was a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hired an attorney. I thought I could beat it. You know, it was my first felony charge.
Okay.
And I went to court for over the course of about 7 months, and I was looking at 1 to 3 years in prison. That was my matrix, and I was scared shitless.
Yeah.
So on my sentencing day, after, you know, going to court all these months, the judge, he was just sitting there and he was just kind of looking at me, and I thought I was going to prison. But
That's surreal, isn't it?
oh yeah, I was
so in a chair.
Yeah, I was terrified. And he looked at me and he sentenced me to probation. And I don't know how. He must have saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. And so he sentenced me to probation, 3 years. And I just walked out of there going, I'm not going to fuck this up. You know, I'm going to make this work. And so I went to AP&P. They hooked me up with my PO, who was actually very cool. Right. And at the time I was sentenced, I was living in a dope house. I ended up staying in that house for another couple of months. My PO would come and check in on me there. And then finally I moved in with a very good friend of mine who was so kind to take me in and give me a chance. Oh. And I started treatment at Cornerstone, intensive outpatient. Yeah. So I had to report there 4 days a week, 4 hours a day. And then I had a one-on-one counselor. At first I didn't want to like open up and share, you know what I mean? Right. I was really nervous to tell my story, and I kind of held back. And then one day, I don't know, something just clicked for me. I was just like, if I'm going to do this thing, I have to let some people in. Yeah. I have to talk. I have to deal with the trauma that I experienced as a child, which is 2 really big things that I went through were huge driving forces into why I started using, you know what I mean? Why that was such a powerful, it made me feel better. It made me feel more powerful. Yeah. And it numbed out all the shit that I went through. You know what I mean? For sure. And so I'm like, if I'm gonna be able to stay clean long term, I'm gonna have to talk about this ugly shit that I have in my past. Yeah. So I finally decided to open up and share. And it was crazy because nobody judged me. Those women in my group were so kind and understanding. And they really were supportive and encouraging, you know, and I never had that before. I never got to speak up and use my voice. Yeah. And so it was life-changing, really. In those moments, like something just changed for me. Sorry.
Yo, you're good. No, I think you bring up a really good point, Jamie, because I mean, I kind of had to do the same thing, you know, in my recovery. It's crazy, and I'm only speaking for myself and only from what I've heard from you, but it's like if we don't let those demons out, they're always going to hold us captive. They're
Oh,
always going
it's
to
true.
hang to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I kind of experienced something similar to that is when I really decided I was going to get sober and go through this. I actually got into therapy, and I've been in through therapy and counseling all my life. But you know what? I
Right.
would always tell them what they wanted to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would go in, sit down. I'm like, just give me my boxes that I need to check, and I'll check them. I'll come and report the next week. You know, I would never open up. I would never share, continuing to hold on these feelings and emotions, which were basically enabling me to continue to use because, you know, it's that pain and that not being in control, being able to have control and have that euphoria, numb the pain that, you know, that's how I was treating myself. But when I finally opened up, like, you know, you were given that opportunity, not only to open up and let those demons out, but you were able to be in an environment that was supportive, that it's like, hey, you know, we've been through something similar. You're okay. You're safe here. You can let this out and be able to process it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So you started, you know, you were able to start that path of really getting in there and letting go and forgive and get really right down to the bottom of things. That's to me, that's where the true growth really begins, or is able to start anyway.
It's so true. I mean, I think those single moments were like the shift for me, where I was able to be brutally, completely honest and so vulnerable and speak my truth, say what happened to me, what I went through, and how it affected me, and then I started to piece together kind of how I got to that place where drugs and alcohol kind of took over. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And yeah, it's so, so, so important to talk about our trauma and to let it out and to have a safe space to to speak that.
Yeah.
So that's probably the single most thing that I'm the very most grateful for, is just being able to share that and let it go.
Yeah.
And then work on the process of, forgiving myself, forgiving others.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you probably experienced something like this, you know, in those rooms, is how freeing was it? You know, you kept these secrets in for so long, and they were just bottled up in this closet, and then you're able to get, you know, that release, and it's so freeing.
Yes.
You know, it was so freeing to be able, like, oh, you know what? This has no control over me because I just found a way to overcome this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's opening up and being able to let that out for the first time. So freeing. I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. It's huge. And to have some, other women who have had similar experiences to share that burden with me
Yes.
and to be supportive and say, hey, you're not alone in this. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It was huge for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, the secrets, keeping secrets was just, and I don't know. I did speak out when things happened to me as a child, but I wasn't heard or
Yeah.
validated. You know what I mean? And so that compounded the trauma
Yes.
because the people that I trusted with the information didn't do anything about it. And so that also, that made it even harder.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So to have someone say, hey, yeah, we get it. We know where you've been and what you've been through. And we understand and we're here for you. That was huge.
Amen. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's you know, it's one of those things that we have to look back and let go of because, you know, we have some resentment towards that hey, I was a little child.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be there to protect me. Instead of that, you played this hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. And when I went through my trauma, you pretended like it didn't happen. And because of that, this happened. But, as we grow, in our recovery, we're able to take that outer perspective look and be like, I can't change the past.
Right.
Well, what I can change is how I react to the past, and I
Absolutely.
choose to let go, and I am not going to allow it. I'm not going to allow it to burden me anymore because it doesn't serve me any purpose.
That's right. So being able to step back into my own power and know that as an adult, I can take care of myself, and then I'm not that little girl anymore, but I want to give that little girl love. So also, healing that inner child and showing up for her and integrating her with me, you know what I mean? So that she knows that she's safe and I honor her, I acknowledge her and what she's been through and that she's okay today.
Yeah. No, that gets me a little emotional because I learned this in doing EMDR in therapy, and I had to go back to that 10-year-old boy, and I had to have that conversation where I'm like, hey, look, I know you're scared, because nobody was there to protect you, and you've been living scared your entire life. But guess what? We're 42 right now, and guess what? I will never allow anything like that ever to happen to you again. Like, you're safe, we're safe, everything's gonna be okay, you know? And yeah, no, that's part of the process. It's part of
Sure
the
is.
process. But it's important because it's those little steps, that little steps of healing is what's going to help us with our recovery and stay in our sobriety. Because
Absolutely.
you talk to any therapist, and if you have some form of alcohol or drug problem, guess where they're going to start? Right there in the childhood, because it
That's
usually
exactly right.
stems from something. It usually does, and
Yep.
that's a lot of work for somebody. Not only are we not only are we learning how to live again without the what I call the easy button, because you can hit that button and then just everything is lights out. Not only are we, kind of relearning how to live, but we're also, digging up this stuff from our past and learning how to process that past and at the same time. And it's a lot.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
I mean, it's taken me the better part of 10 years, right, of my sobriety to work through it. And I continue to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as hard as it used to be, but it's still, I have moments when it is hard.
Yeah.
But you have great coping skills the further along you get in sobriety and you learn how to process and how to sit with uncomfortable things and how to be with it,
Yeah.
and be okay. So
Yeah.
I'm super grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. And another big part of it is, as you mentioned your childhood, another big part of it is learning how to set boundaries.
Oh yeah,
Because, as a kid, that we didn't learn how to set boundaries because that was taken from us a long time ago.
right.
And so, developing those skills and setting boundaries and like, this is where it is. And, if you can't hang, that's cool. Go do your thing. But this is how we roll now,
Yeah,
It's so important, to end
super
the
important.
you
Yeah.
know. Um, so I mean, awesome. Like you found these ladies, and I love hearing that story because there's just something magical that really happens, in an
Yeah.
environment like that. There's just this energy there, this positive energy and the love and peace that comes with
Yeah.
that. And absolutely love that. So do you remember like early recovery? You're working. What were some hard, what were some bumps in the road? What were some hard triggers that, you kind of faced early on in that recovery?
So yeah, I did have numerous triggers, and I think anything intense for me, intense emotions, and anything that was heightened was always a trigger.
Yeah.
Um, I graduated my treatment program after about 18 months, and I elected to stay another 18 months because I wasn't ready to go out in the world. You know what I mean? Like because I was triggered and I did have those, I was scared. Like, I can't go out. I'm not ready. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to fuck it up again.
Yeah.
And so I decided to stay. And that was so helpful for me. Whenever I would struggle, I had my group to go to. Um, but I think the hardest parts for me were the intense emotion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or,
Totally.
yeah. And just being able to sit through those and not like, because that was always my go-to. Like, I'm gonna go run and get high, and then I don't have to deal with it, And so being able to just sit through and process through, not over process, because I didn't want to like get carried away in it,
Yeah. Right.
but just to allow myself to be
Yeah.
what I felt in the moment, and then to work through that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you make a good point because, feelings and emotions is something that controlled our life up until that point,
right.
If something happened, I mean, well, then this is how I cope with this, dealing with the death of a loved one or just some hard news from our children or something like the parents upset at us for God knows what, out of nowhere. These were real quick, easy ways to numb ourselves because we didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah,
But that was
no,
amazing. That was amazing self-recognition, Jamie. That just kind of showed your maturity and your self-awareness. You could start seeing this process of you really getting to know who Jamie was, during this time.
yeah, I have always been pretty self-aware, and I'm grateful for that. But I think once I really kind of tuned in, you know what I mean, and gave myself my own time and commitment, that it made a huge difference. Like starting to listen to my inner voice and just be in touch with, what I'm feeling, when I'm feeling it. I am. That was a big deal. I think my biggest trigger of was my mom. Um, I found out she was sick at the very beginning of my recovery, and she had stage 4 cancer. So I had 44 days when she passed away. And that was probably the hardest thing to go through early in recovery, but I made it through. I didn't relapse. I didn't run back to the doghouse. I went to her funeral. I was present in the room when she died. And I got to be there. I'd be sober there.
Yeah.
That was huge. She got to see me sober. And yeah, I was so grateful for that. I laid in bed with her one night at the hospital, and I made her a promise that I would never drink or use again. And I've never broken it, and I never will. And I think that's a huge driving force for me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So it's just one more layer of protection that I have, because I just can't imagine ever breaking that promise. It was so huge for her to see me sober and to be able to have peace.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know what I mean? And be able to leave this world knowing that her daughter is finally on the path to recovery. So I'm really grateful for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And I feel her with me all the time. So I know she's right here.
Oh, yeah.
And then my little grandson was born in April, which is just, what, 30 days after my sobriety. So
Swing of events.
yeah, so that was a huge thing too. Yeah, so those are pretty big triggers. Those are super intense things. But I managed to get through, and I think it's just mostly because I had support. I had my family by my side. I was in it, I decided to be in it to win it this time, and I was taking steps on the right path, and I was committed, and I was showing up for me, which I never really did before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the intense stuff is always been the most triggering.
Yeah. 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 And likewise, I definitely can relate to that. But what a beautiful gift that you gave yourself and your mom at, towards
Yeah.
the end of her life. Like that is so sweet to hear. Like that's that's a win, man. You can put that on the shelf. That is beautiful, because whether they're helping or they're not, we know that they love us, whether their influence on us is negatively influenced, they still love us. And so they still, in their own way, they still hurt for us. And, having your mom kind of be with you during your hard times, and then, as she leaves this world for the next, giving her that opportunity to see, those bright eyes and that big smile, to be able to be with your mom. I mean, if I was thinking how I was going to go out, that's great. Being there with my child, someone that I love, and having peace of mind to know that my child's got this. She's happy, and she's going to continue living a happy life. That's absolutely beautiful. And what a gift you gave her, and gave yourself,
Thank you.
to be able to reclaim your life, and be able to be there. That's awesome. That gives me goosebumps. I love it. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Jamie. That was very touching. I appreciate that. So, um, what would you say, as you were getting through your recovery, um, what were some key things that you implied, some action steps that you applied in your life, that kind of continued to, be that strength for you through your recovery, like kind of helped you stay on the right path?
So I pretty much, I, I just tried to add as many layers as I could.
Yeah.
I, I went, I'm not really a big 12 stepper, but I decided to go and work the steps. I got a sponsor. I went to meetings. I, I met some people. So I like to shop at this place called Sacred Energy Empowerment Center. And I was in there one day and I met this man, and he and I became friends. And he introduced me to his spiritual community. He was also in recovery. But he invited me to go to this group with him, and I went, and I loved it. And the lady who facilitates the group, she does these spiritual retreats. One's called Inner Child. There's 4. And so I decided to go and do this inner child retreat, and it focuses on, of course, our little kids inside us, the trauma they've been through and all of that. And it was an amazing experience, life-changing. And so I completed 3 of the 4 retreats. I still need to do the last one, and I'm planning on doing that this year. And then I've done like Reiki, yoga, just anything that lifted me up, that I enjoyed. You know what I mean? I found things that made my heart sing. Like I think it was about a month before I got my sobriety date. my friend invited me to go to this movie premiere called, the premiere was for Wayward, the Prodigal Son. And it was written and directed by Rob Diamond, who is my acting coach now.
Oh,
But my friend invited me to go see that, and he's like, maybe you should come to acting class. It'll give you something to do. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, I'll go. And so I went to the premiere. After it was over, Rob walked up to me and he's like, when are you coming to my class? And so I went like a couple times, and then I didn't go for a while. And then after my sobriety date, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go again. And so I went, and I never quit going. I was going 3 times a week, and I loved it because it gave me a place to land. It gave me the safe space to express. And I found out that I was pretty good at it. You know what I mean? And I loved it. It lit up this fire in me, and I was very passionate about it. So I just kept going, and I started learning how to be an actor. And it you know, I've since been in a few movies, commercials, music videos, just stuff like that
oh, that's cool.
yeah. And so that, and then, I picked up the guitar. I started to learn how to play. I really love the creative arts and writing. I've always been pretty good at. So I started keeping a journal, and writing my poetry and different stories, and trying screenwriting. And I think that's so important, is to find something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
I hike. Like, I love to be in the mountains, and I hike probably 3 times a week. And I'm just doing things that light you up, that set you on fire.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, and having strong community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those were, yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's super important.
that's so cool that things worked out that way, and all of a sudden this door swings open and Jamie walks through it. It's like, okay, all right, I will, I'll put my best foot forward, and this is where we're going. We're going.
Right.
That's
It's like, once you choose that, you start showing up for yourself and choosing this direction, opportunities start to present themselves.
yeah.
Like I said, doors open and you can walk through and be like, okay, is this going to work for me? And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least you're giving it a shot.
Yeah, I think that's so important, not to be scared, because we
Yeah.
hold our back, we hold ourselves back from so many amazing experiences, and I mean, look, this little adventure you went on, like, opened up the door to like a whole new world that you're able to get
Yes.
in, I mean, it's not
Yeah.
just the acting part. Now it's the writing part, and there's so many levels to that industry that you can be involved in, that you just don't really realize it as somebody just sitting home watching a movie, but there's a whole world inside of there that you could participate in. You have no idea, where your talents lie until you try to use them towards something,
Right. Yep.
That's so cool.
Thank
Jamie, it has been so much fun getting to know you. Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much for, opening yourself up, being vulnerable, and sharing with us, those intimate parts of your life. How important it is for us and our listeners to be able to hear that, because it's that where we begin to start resonating with the situation, and it gives us opportunity to take an outer perspective and look at ourselves and start matching scenarios and situations up, and be able to start processing that, allowing us to get a grasp and hold on what we're really looking at, rather than it being, this is who I am, I can't do anything about it, to, oh yes, I can, because Jamie Lynn came on Chad's show and went to something similar, and I know if Jamie can do it, and I can too. So I really appreciate you, sharing, sharing your story with us, and what a beautiful story it is, Jamie.
Mm.
And a success story, and how awesome it is to see you being able to shine right now and just living your best life is it's so rewarding just to be able to see it. And then I congratulate you, I commend you for your efforts and just being able to take control of your life and live it to the fullest. You couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, that's truly awesome.
Thank you so, so much. I am so grateful for the opportunity to come on and share. Thank
Yeah.
you for hearing me, and thank you for all of your kind words. And congratulations to you as well on your own sobriety. I'm so pumped for you. A year. That's amazing.
Let's go.
You're a rock star. Honestly.
Oh,
Hell yes.
thank you. Yeah, no,
Yes. Stay on that track.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, absolutely. Before we go, Jamie, just speaking to the addict now out there who's listening, is there any last words of advice or encouragement or some type of something that they could do right now that would help them get into recovery?
Yes. Reach out. Reach
Yeah.
out to your community. Reach out to someone, anyone, whoever. It doesn't matter. Just reach out and take a chance on you. You deserve it. You deserve to be clean and sober and healthy and strong and happy. All of the things. You
Yeah.
deserve that. Just step in, show up for you.
Great advice. Great advice. Yeah, that's so huge. It's so huge. And that being that vulnerable is the step on helping you with your sobriety, opening up, asking for help. It's okay. As men, people feel like you're not being masculine if you ask for help. And I'm like, it's just the opposite,
It is.
like taking the courage and knowing that you need help and then acting upon that you're doing such a huge favor for yourself. You have no idea. It's not demasculating. It's the opposite. You're providing that courage and that strength for yourself. And I think a lot of people get it miscued a little bit, but ask for help. Reach out, you guys.
Yes.
Reach out 1,000 times.
And then accept it.
Yeah.
Accept the help when it is offered to you. Allow yourself to be helped and loved and cared for. That's a big deal too, because sometimes we're not able to receive. So receive. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. You're worthy. You're enough. You're a freaking rock star.
Absolutely.
The fact that we are rocking out on a rock right now, spinning miles an hour around a ball of gas should
Right.
let you know you're a miracle. And should let you know that there's only one of you. So stop trying to be everybody else. You're freaking amazing. So just own it, and realize that you need to realize your value, and you play an important role in this world, even though you don't see it. You are. And one day, trust me, you will be able to be like Jamie Lynn here and be able to share your story and save somebody's life who really needs to hear it. Jamie, again, so much fun.
Yes.
Honestly, absolutely loved hearing your story. Oh my
Thank
gosh,
you.
Jamie.
Thank
It
you so
was
much.
such a beautiful story, an absolute beautiful story. Just just recounting, what Jamie, shared with us today. She said it, reach out and reach out. It was a part of her story. And look at her. She's amazing and she's doing amazing things. I think we can trust her. I think we can trust her. It'd be okay to trust her. And another thing she mentioned, guys, when we're active in our addiction, we're spending a lot of time, in that addiction with drugs and alcohol. You have to find something that's going to replace that. and take Jamie's advice. Take a risk. Do something that you've never done before and see if it resonates with you like it did Jamie. I mean, now it's opened up a whole new world for her. That's obtainable. That is at your fingertips. All it does is it's just a choice. You just need to make a decision and go for it. I mean, what do you got to lose? I mean, if it's going to continue to help you stay strong in your recovery, sounds like a good plan. Sounds like you should definitely get involved in that. Guys, it's been a treat having Jamie here, listening to her story. Guys, for those out there who are suffering in your addiction, guess what? There is hope. If you tell yourself there's no hope, guess what? You're right. You start telling yourself there is hope, believe in it, put energy into it, reach out. As Jamie said, doors are going to open for you. They just are. You are that important and you're that special in this world that it's just going to happen for you. So don't forget, you're not alone. There are people who've been here before you. They've gone through similar situations that you're going through right now. And guess what? They're happy, they're healthy, they're living their best lives right now. And that is available to you. It's gonna hurt a little bit. There's gonna be a little sting, but guess what? It's gonna make you stronger. It's gonna make you smarter, and you're gonna have that experience to help share with others and help them on their path. So don't give up on yourself. We will never give up on you. Keep trying. Keep putting that best foot forward. We love you guys. Jamie, thanks so much for being here. It has been an amazing day here at Rock Bottoms Up Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, there's going to be another interview next Monday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I hope to see you there. Good night, you guys.